Hi, and welcome to this week's Astro Weather Report. This week we are looking at the energies that are playing out in the skies from the 5th to the 11th of December. Can you believe we are in December already? And maybe that's a good thing. Maybe it's nice to be heading towards leaving 2021 far behind. But look, keep in mind as I do this reading that this is not a mundane astrology reading. What mundane astrology is looking at big world events and the effect of the planets on the collective global experience. So this is much more of a personal reading. That's what I do. I'm a personal astrologer. So this is not about the collective experience we're all living through, and that is coming, as I've said in the last few videos, that is coming from a few big key factors. What we're going through right now on the Earth is a result of mainly the Eris-Pluto square that is occurring, also the Saturn-Uranus square that has been occurring and playing out all year. One more of those left to go, unfortunately. Pluto being in Capricorn also has a bearing on this as well, and the eclipses now are tying into what is going on too. So they are the reasons we're going through what we're going through, but I am a personal astrologer here to speak about how the energies will be affecting you in your personal life experience. Might be emotionally, could be in your physical experience, could be in your spiritual experience that you might experience and go through the energies that I'm going to be talking about this week in the Astro Weather Report. So let's move on to the best days this week. Remember, I'm in Australia. I'm using Australian times. If you are in the US, particularly on the West Coast, you're mostly about a day behind what I'm talking about here, and you can interpret what I'm saying as being sort of a day behind. So be conscious of the void of course moon. Use an app to help you determine in your part of the world, is the moon void of course right now, and you should avoid instigating anything under its energy, because taking action when the moon is void of course will usually see nothing come of that endeavor, which is fine if you want to do something, say, legally, and you don't want to get any repercussions from it. Maybe you might want to confront a policeman about that speeding fine that you've got, and you don't want any bad repercussions from that. You just want it to blow over. Well, maybe using a void of course moon might be helpful in a circumstance like that. But most of the time when we initiate something, we usually want to get a certain outcome. We want to get a new project launched, or initiate a new friendship or a new relationship or something. And doing so under the void of course moon, we'll just usually see nothing work in our favor in that way. So that's how we work with the void of course moon. And so check out an app like iLuna, that's one of the apps that I use, to help you determine if the moon is void of course. So the best days this week, taking into consideration the void of course moon, are the 5th of December. Now, this is a great day to optimistically look towards your future and maybe make some future plans. You'll be thinking big picture. You might be looking at the small details, and so it's a really good day for looking ahead in the long range. And for some people, depending on what's going on in their natal chart, this could be a very lucky and blessed day, where something, really lines up for you, and all the ducks are in a row, so to speak, and things start to fall into place. So in that sense, the 5th could be quite an interesting, lucky, and maybe even prosperous day for some people. But it's really very much about being optimistic and hopeful and looking to the future. The 6th, 7th and 7th and the 10th and 11th of December are also really good days this week, but they're good days for different reasons. They're great days to take action on something and start something new, initiate a new interaction, initiate a new project, initiate some sort of new opportunity into your life. It's really a very active energy that you can utilize on these days. And you can do so by tapping into your courage. Tap into that inner warrior within you. And if you do that, it can really pay off and work to your advantage. So if you need to be courageous about something, if you need to, take action or make a move about something, these are the days that have your back. Now, the moon, Mercury and Venus are all out of bounds this week on the 5th, 6th and 7th of December. So those days could really bring something unexpected and significant into our lives now. Having that many planets out of bounds means things are a little bit crazy, a little bit volatile. It's like the roller coaster ride or the surprise, when you're watching the fireworks and you don't know when the next one's going to explode. It's a bit like that. There's this unexpected energy, this anticipatory energy, this what's going to happen kind of energy with the out of bounds planets. And so things aren't quite normal under this influence. And in a personal level, because this is playing out for all of us, we might see some really rather extreme or unexpected events happening. And that will very much depend on what Mercury, the Moon, or Venus have governance of in your natal chart. Of course, you'll need to know your natal chart to know what that might be. So Venus this week will also be ending her long out of bounds period. She's been out of bounds since early October. And now on the 7th of December, that finishes. So we might start to find that we are entering into now a period of, after the 7th, of more normality with relationships and finances. Things aren't so extreme. Things aren't so volatile. Things aren't so erratic with those things ruled by Venus generally. So that is a good thing, potentially, unless Venus has been doing you a lot of favors while she's been out of bounds. But we're going to sort of settle back down with Venus things after the 7th. But Mercury is going to continue to be out of bounds through the 8th to the 11th, so the whole week, Mercury basically. And this can give us sort of genius level ideas or even erratic thoughts and nervous tension. So there's a polarity of expression here with a Mercury out of bounds. We might get these like solutions to problems that sort of come to us like a light bulb moment. We just like light up and there's the solution to some issue I've been dealing with. That can happen, but on the shadow side, we might get very strung out and anxious with nervous tension, and our thoughts can be very erratic and unfocused. So it could go either way with sort of an out of bounds and very erratic Mercury in that case. So be forewarned, forearmed, and prepared for that this week. Now, this week's energy focus that we're looking at for all signs is the focus on the 8th of December, which will be the Jupiter square to Mars that's going to be occurring. Let's look at it on the board. So we have Jupiter here in Aquarius and Mars is over here in the latter degrees of Scorpio. And so this makes a 90-degree angle, moon's in the way there, to Jupiter. So what does this mean? Well, look, not all squares are horrific and bad. Squares have a bit of a reputation for being troublemakers in astrology. But Mars and Jupiter are friends in astrology, and what they can do is energize you to start new projects, even when they're making a difficult aspect. Because I have to say, when Jupiter is involved in difficult aspects like a square, like a 90-degree angle square, then it's not so bad. It's not like we feel heaviness or a weight or blockage or restriction or frustration or something goes wrong. It's more that we overextend ourselves. We try too hard or we expect too much or we just take things to an extreme when Jupiter's involved in a square aspect. So that is the real hallmark of Jupiter squares, and oppositions with Jupiter too can be that way as well. So Jupiter square to its friend Mars can give you the energy, like I said, to start new projects, to use your initiative, and that initiative, because those are Mars things, Jupiter's going to expand the energy of Mars, highly energized, more initiative, a bit of a go-getter. That can actually lead to some big successes when these two are in a combination together. But what houses are these two activating in your chart? We might look at that. We're going to look at that when we go through all signs. That's where you might feel this lucky punch of energy coming from Jupiter square to Mars. But there's a shadow side, as would be expected with a heavy aspect like a 90-degree square angle. Mars can give courage in most situations. But remember I said that Jupiter's influence can actually take things to extremes. So you might walk into a situation like your Wonder Woman or Superman and it ends up backfiring, where, you thought you were more capable than you were. You thought you could be the hero and the situation didn't work out the way you wanted to. So just be prepared, for having that over belief in your own courage and valor and warrior nature. Also be aware of having a little bit too much in the way of impulsiveness and tactless behavior, which are also hallmarks of Mars, and that Jupiter energy can take that to an extreme. You put your foot in your mouth, you say the wrong thing, or you take an action and it's not appreciated by people. It comes across as a bit confrontative or aggressive, and you didn't mean it that way, but that's how it's coming across, because this energy is pushing you in that direction, pushing us all in that direction. We can also be on the receiving end of people behaving this way as well, with tactless behavior and impulsive behavior. Balance is the name of the game now, but it's a little bit hard to achieve under this energy. So Mars also gives enthusiasm. And in this instance, Jupiter can blow the enthusiasm out of proportion, be conscious of overdoing it and ending up being, so worn out because you've taken on too much. Oh, I'm going to go to this protest rally, and then I'm going to record this video, and then I'm going to do this research, and then I'm going to go and see my friends, and then I'm going to have these people round for dinner, and you're just like, yeah, I'm enthusiastic, let me get into all these things that I want to be involved in, and then, by the time Sunday rolls around, you're like, oh, I'm so exhausted, I have no strength left, I have no energy, because you've taken on more than you can handle and blown your enthusiasm and energy right out of control, out of proportion. And so, we're coming up to the Christmas season. If you keep doing that, if you keep working under this blown out of proportion Jupiter-Mars energy, you might be too tired to enjoy all those wonderful Christmas celebrations that are coming up for us all this December. So act with caution. So in a nutshell, this transit is all about feeling strong, feeling courageous, feeling excited and optimistic. It will also, for some people, if it's playing out in their natal chart quite significantly, if it's touching on some natal planets, etc., then you might find that you get some opportunities come your way, especially opportunities to do with your ambitions or your sexual connections, which are Mars-related things. Mars is highly ambitious. It wants to achieve. And it's also a very sexually desirous kind of energy as well. So you might get some opportunities with that come your way under this square aspect too. Again, overdoing things, overextending things, going beyond your actual physical capacity as a human being. There can be an increase in impatience and impulsiveness. You can become a bit too dogmatic or preachy or pushing your own agenda, and that can be maybe a little bit offensive to some people. So that is what this energy is all about in a nutshell. So let's go through all the signs and how this Jupiter-Mars square is going to affect us all. We're starting off with Scorpio, where Mars is residing. Mars is in his rulership and very strong in the sign of Scorpio. So you've got Scorpio, your first house lord, in the first house at the moment, which is very powerful. Now, this is a house of survival. It's the house of our main reason for incarnation, actually. And it will influence you personally to have Mars here. So everything that Mars represents, which is you, your incarnation, your journey in the body, is going to be not blown out of proportion necessarily, but expanded under this energy. This is the first house lord in your first house. This is an empowered time in your life while Mars transits here. So it's a time for initiating new things this week. It's a time for allowing in what you're going to align with, what is you, what you're going to identify yourself with. You might even be reviewing, what do I identify myself with? Who am I really? It is also an energy of physical effects. Mars in the first house, even though it is your ruling sign, you need to watch out for accidents, because Jupiter can blow Mars effects out of proportion, and Mars rules accidents. You'll be feeling physically stronger, and indeed Jupiter making this aspect can make you feel like I'm invincible, I am this hero, warrior, Superman kind of energy. Again, be careful of taking that too far with your physical energy and your vitality. So you'll be feeling stronger, and you need to, of course, watch out for taking things too far that can then cause physical accidents in your life. This is also the first impressions that we give, and of course Jupiter's aspect to Mars is going to be exacerbating and uplifting the impression of Mars while he's in the first house. Now, that's something to be a bit cautious of, Scorpio, because Mars as a first impression energy, and at the moment you might be giving off this Mars aura while he's traveling through your first house. This Mars energy can be the aura of aggression. It can be the aura of argumentation, or argumentativeness is the right word. It could also be the energy of competition. You mightn't think you're coming across in a competitive manner, but Mars can give that aura, that energy, even if you're not conscious of it. So that's the shadow effects of this aura that you might be giving off to other people right now. Be very conscious of this. Jupiter can be making that an exacerbated expression. The other positive sides of Mars is that you can give off an energy of enthusiasm, of vitality, of initiation, like, let's jump in, let's go for it, let's make it happen. You can give off the energy of being a winner, which is a very Mars energy. Mars energy is the winner, the energy of the winner, the victor. And so very powerful impressions that you can be giving now to other people, Scorpio, with Mars moving through your first house. So you can use that to your advantage, obviously. If you feel that you're giving off the energy of a victor and of a winner, why not go and ask for a raise? Or why not approach that lovely girl that you've been interested in and maybe ask her, out on a date or something, because you're giving off this energy of victoriousness, if you feel that that's what's coming through. You can also be exuding the energy of desire. Remember, Mars is this highly sexual planet, and so you can be exuding the energy of, I'm sexually turned on at the moment, or I'm feeling very sexy. So you can use that, and we know Scorpio people are highly sexy people anyhow, so it's like really amped up in you guys right now. Use it to your advantage, if you want to appeal to someone, or if you want to approach someone, or if you want to be desirable to somebody, why not use the energy to your advantage here? But as I said in the beginning, this is a house of survival, and Mars is going to give you the courage that you need now to make your life one that survives, and it might cause you to sort of discover something, that you can do that is highly independent, that's going to help you survive in life and flourish and thrive. For some Scorpio people, it might look like getting off grid. It might look like, developing your own business, so that you can stand on your own 2 feet and be independent. Mars in the first house, Scorpio, right now by transit, wants you to develop some means of being independent in the world, and using that independence as a source of your ability to flourish and survive. So listen to what is being told of you. Don't listen to what these energies are trying to tell you. Don't take it to an extreme where, okay, I'm going to be self-sufficient, and so you buy a caravan and you go set up in the bush, and then what? You haven't thought it through. You've been impulsive, because remember, as I said in the intro, Jupiter to Mars can make you highly impulsive, where you just jump in without thinking, okay, well, what am I going to do, to make this happen? And have I thought this through logistically? You're looking so big picture, and you're so enthusiastic that the small details get left behind. So make sure you take time to integrate those things as well. But do pay attention to what this energy is calling you to in terms of independence, survival, and thrival in the world. So that's what we're seeing for Scorpio rising, sun or moon people. Next, we have our Sagittarius friends, rising, sun or moon people. Big time in your lives, Scorpio, because the sun is moving through your house. So happy birthday to anyone who's having their birthday who's a Saggy sun placement. But this is obviously for Sagittarius, sun, moon, or rising signs. The 12th house is where we're going to be noticing the effects of the exacerbated push from Jupiter on Mars. And so the 12th house is a house with fascinating house, but it's a house that's a bit difficult to get a grasp on. It's a house that's associated with the energy of Jupiter, where things can feel out of control, but there's a protected energy here. It's one of the malefic houses, but it is the least malefic of the malefic houses because of Jupiter's association with the 12th house. Jupiter is a protective kind of buffering energy. So it's not as bad as the other 2 malefic houses in astrology because of that benefit. So it is difficult to get a grasp on. So you might have trouble under this influence sort of understanding where to direct your warrior spirit, your warrior nature, and your fighting spirit. Things might feel like, if I go here, then I don't know what the outcome's going to be, and I'm feeling a bit confused. If I use my fighting spirit in this way, then I think that'll have bad repercussions, and I'm not sure I want to put my energy there, but I don't really know if it's the right thing. It's that energy of confusion, of difficulty getting a grasp on what's going to happen, where we feel like, obviously, as I said, we're out of control in some way. But with Mars here in its own sign, in its own strength in Scorpio, we may find that the ancestors we have on the other side, the angels, the higher beings, both positive and negative, can be taking action, Mars is action, to force our hand in a certain circumstance to move us into the direction we need to go. So there might be some doors that open. There might be some events that occur that feel like they're out of our control. But what's really potentially going on with this is that the higher beings, the ancestors, the spirit guides are pulling the strings behind the scenes to, they're taking action to make you take the steps you need to take that will align with your higher self in this lifetime. So, have a look at what's going on. Do you feel like, okay, things are a bit out of control, but I feel like I'm being pushed into this new direction in my life, and maybe I need to be open and flexible to that. This is also the house of past lives and karma, and so with Mars here being exacerbated by Jupiter, if there have been any incidents in past lives where you've behaved with a Martian kind of energy, you've been angry, you've been aggressive, you've been confrontative, you've been competitive, and it has been like a negative experience, then you might find something in your psyche bubbles up for you to lay that to rest, to sort of forgive yourself perhaps, or to set yourself free from that energy. Maybe you might be carrying a bit of guilt about something from a past life experience where you behaved in that manner, and something might occur in this life that triggers you to address those guilty feelings, or those feelings of that you need to, for example, to compete with others in order to succeed in the world, and you get a repercussion of that. I must compete, or I must fight my way through things, and that energy comes up for you to deal with again, and hopefully make a better choice in this lifetime. Hopefully choose the warrior road rather than the aggressor road in this lifetime. So you might be faced with a decision because of this past life karma that comes bubbling up this week. You might be faced with a decision and a choice. Do I take the road of the fighter warrior, warrior princess, your Xena or something? Do I take that road, or do I take the road of the aggressor, the destructive energy? Mars can be very destructive in its shadow side through its just impulsiveness and its reactivity and its anger that's right at the surface. So which road are you going to choose? You might be faced with a decision about that, and it will be a very karmic influence for you. Now, this is a moksha house, and this kind of ties into what I've been talking about. It's a sorry, I've got something wrong, itchy on my nose. It's a moksha house, a liberation house. And so this is very much the energy of a letting go of something, which I've just described, something from a past life. But it need not be just a past life. It might be a letting go of some old attitude that you've carried since childhood. Maybe an anger that's within you since childhood, or maybe since you got divorced, you're angry at your partner for leaving you in this situation, and now life is hard because you're on your own. And there's this anger within you. Mars represents where we are carrying anger. And Mars moving through your 12th house might bring that to the surface for liberation now, for that dissolving of that Mars energy. And so that could be a good thing. Again, there might be some circumstance in life that triggers that dissolving to take place. The key with this moksha house is to practice acceptance to get the benefits. It's the house of alchemy once we learn how to do this. So, okay, I look at myself, take an inward look. I'm angry because I got divorced and now financially I'm in a difficult position or whatever. We take an inward look and we say, okay, can I accept that I feel angry? As Eckhart Tolle says, if we can accept our circumstances in the moment, or our feelings as well in the moment, then we won't remain in those feelings for long. I think the actual quote from Urquhart is, if I can accept that I am unhappy, I won't remain unhappy for long. But it applies to any emotion that we're experiencing. If I can accept that I'm angry, then we won't remain angry for long. It helps dissolve things by practicing the acceptance of that component of our lives. So in that sense, something might come up for you to address that's got to do with anger, frustration, aggression, even violence. Mars is connected to violence. Maybe there was some violence in, an earlier part of your life, and maybe you need to practice acceptance that was what happened, nothing you can do about it now, and you alchemize those feelings associated with those Mars-like experiences and dissolve them and let them go. That could be key for you this week, Sagittarius. Now, this is also the house of sleep. Mars in the house of sleeping, fantasy, escapism, imagination, daydreams, can bring violent dreams into your life. But just know if that happens, if you're sort of fantasizing about violence or aggression or not so much abuse. Mars is not abuse. That's a Pluto-Mars combination thing. But Mars in and of itself is violence and fighting and aggression. And if you are fantasizing about that, if you're imagining that, in your life, if you are having nighttime dreams, nightmares with that involved, know that this is a passing energy and it will end and it will go soon enough. Just hang in there and, practice balance when you go into those sorts of circumstances. Jupiter this week might be exacerbating those things in your life. You might be very sensitive this week as well because of this energy. It's like if somebody pokes you or pushes your buttons, explosion. You just react without thinking. So this is a highly sensitive transit that you are experiencing now, Sagittarius people. Maybe you need to explode. Maybe you need your buttons to be pushed in order to bring about some change. But just know that you're going to be quite sensitive to this Mars reactivity in some way this week. So thank you, Sagittarius friends. Let's move now to our Capricorn friends as well. They're experiencing the outplay of this energy in the 11th house this week. That's where Jupiter is directing his energy to Mars, who is transiting the 11th house for Capricorn people. So this is a house of how we can be profitable and gainful. Jupiter can expand your ability to be profitable and gainful by taking action, using Mars strategies. And Mars is the strategist planet. So what we can do if we want to become profitable and gainful, we can take action, we can initiate something, we can act independently and autonomously, which are all Mars attributes. Don't sit back like a shrinking violet this week. If you've got an idea for some new project or a way that you can create more profit and gains in your life, then go for it. Jupiter, Mars energy is saying thumbs up, green traffic light. This is also the house of groups, including political parties, organizations, and clubs. So Capricorn people, this mightn't be your bag generally, but you're going to benefit by getting active and proactive with political issues this week. You're going to benefit by getting involved with organizations, getting involved with clubs, doing a bit of networking. That can actually pay off for you. So again, no shrinking violets here, Capricorn. You've got to get out and take action. Do stuff. Get involved. I don't want to go all political on people, but maybe if you're so inclined and your beliefs lean this way, maybe you need to go march for something you believe in. Obviously Mars has to do with the military, and what do we do when we're protesting? We march, like the military. So Mars is actually to be passionate about something. What are you passionate about, Capricorn, that can see you involved in some humanitarian cause, some sort of activism, some political platform? Get active, get passionate, use it now. Use this energy because Jupiter square to Mars is going to be pushing you in that direction. And as long as you don't take it to an extreme, Jupiter-Mars can take things to an extreme and we'll end up exhausted, or we take things too far and things go wrong because we've overdone it. As long as you're conscious of that, you can, taper things back a little and use this energy to your advantage in some way. Now, the 11th house is also places where big groups gather. It's a good idea to get involved in those sorts of things, but if you are going to do so, if you're going to go to a big, like a concert hall or a football field or something like that where big groups gather, I would encourage you, Capricorn people, to just be very aware while you're in those places. Mars has association with riots in the shadow side, and so Jupiter's activation of Mars in this house of big communal property, communal gathering spaces, could see that kind of thing unfolding, or accidents that occur in a big communal space. I'm not saying you shouldn't be involved, absolutely not. I think people should join clubs, network, be part of organizations and groups that they're passionate about 100%. But just have your wits about you, because there's always a shadow side to every energy, and be conscious when you're in a big crowd, in a big gathering place, there could be some accidents that might unfold. Mars is the 11th house is the stock market, and Mars is the military. Mars is the military. It's weapons. It's anything sharp. It's to do with anything that has a sort of a fire quality to it or a hot quality to it. So if you know of commodities that kind of fit that description of Mars in the tangible realm, then maybe it might be a time to consider investing in the stock market. Now, I'm not a financial advisor, and of course you need to know how this is playing out in your natal chart, but with this energy it could be, and remember, Mars is a risk taker in the house of the stock market. Jupiter is expanding this opportunity with Mars here. You might actually benefit. So know your own chart and how this is interplaying with your own planets, and maybe a look at the stock market is in order, Capricorn. This is also the house of wealth that we can make from our contribution to the world. That being the case, we need to get proactive. We need to initiate, as I said in the beginning, we need to initiate things. We need to put our energy and our enthusiasm into what we're contributing to the world, and under this influence we might actually find that we make a bit of money out of that. It might be a new project, might be a new connection. We need to get enthusiastic about this new connection or this new opportunity or this new project or this new idea. Mars is starting new things, initiating new things, coming up with the creative let's go kind of thing. They're not all that good, Mars as an energy, at carrying through to the very end, but it's certainly that fire in the beginning, and that those kinds of fiery inspirational ideas and things can be a source of wealth for you this week. Be careful in your networking. You want to sort of be able to interact with friends and new people that you meet in a way that is appealing and attractive. We don't want to put people offside, and Mars energy can come across as just a little bit too much, a bit too full on, especially when it's being exacerbated by Jupiter in this case. So if you're out there networking, if you're trying to make new friends, just be careful of coming on a bit too strong in some way. And also friendships, existing friendships are seen from the 11th house, and you want to sort of maybe put some energy into those friendships, but don't overdo it. I'd watch out for any explosions between friends at this time. I'm talking about, arguments and headbutting with friends at this time. Mars in a square aspect to Jupiter from the house of friendship could cause maybe some blow-ups between friends. So keep that in mind, and double think before you speak, before you engage in any hot topic or issue that's a bit volatile. Think, okay, is this friendship worth more to me than winning this argument? And then choose your words accordingly from that. So that's what we're seeing for our Capricorn friends. Now, moving on to our beautiful Aquarius people. We see that Mars-Jupiter square is playing out with Jupiter coming from your first house and sending this energy to transiting Mars in your 10th house. So you're mostly going to feel the expanded energy of Jupiter impacting your 10th house through the Mars funnel, so to speak, Aquarius. 10th house is our example to others. So you might be very passionate now in how you're standing up in the world, Aquarius, and the example that you're giving to people might be that of a superhero or a passionate warrior or someone who's just really full on believing in what they're all about. And that can be quite inspiring, I have to say. I don't see this as a bad thing. Your example to others can be, in that sense of Mars energy, very positive. But there's always a shadow side to everything, and especially where a square aspect's involved. In that case, Aquarius, you want to be very careful that your example to others isn't one of being what my kids and I term a fighty man, from horrible histories. You don't want to give that example to other people, like, I am going to just smash everybody and everyone better look out, or I'm just going to punch them in the face, or I'm going to be a keyboard warrior and leave all these nasty comments all over Kesenya's videos. You don't want to be that sort of example to the world. I mean, if you're going to put vitriol out there, that's what people are going to see you as. So, excuse me, if you want to be an example to other people this week, be an example in the positive of Mars, a hero, a warrior, somebody who stands for truth and justice, that very Jupiter things, and is willing to express that in the world. Now, the 10th house is also the point of our highest inspiration, so it might be through some sort of Mars mechanism that you're being inspired this week. What might that look like? Somebody who's enthusiastic inspires you. Somebody who's really G'd up about an idea or a concept or a belief, and they're just out there sharing it, and they just inspire you to live a better life. Maybe Mars is also to be very passionate. You encounter someone who's passionate, or maybe you are passionate, and your passion for something inspires you forward in life. So that can also play out this week. The 10th house is also responsibilities and social obligation. You need to take action. If you're feeling socially responsible about something, if you are feeling that you have an obligation to the world at large, then take action on that. Don't sit back idly. Don't sort of twiddle your thumbs and wait for something to change. If you think you have a responsibility to get out there and make a difference in the world, this is an energy that says, yep, I'm going to empower you to do that. Jupiter in a square aspect. Just be careful of taking it too far and overdoing it and burning yourself out. Now, this is also placement of what we need to do to gain respect in the world and success. And again, I come back to this whole idea of taking action. Mars is to initiate something, to make a move on something, not to sit back idly. And if you want respect in the world, you've got to do something. If you want success in your career now, or in any aspect of life, because the 10th house has to do with our success in the world. If you want success, you've got to take action. This is a week for taking action, not for sitting idly by. I keep repeating that theme, but that's what this is calling you to, Aquarius people. And in shamanic astrology, the 10th house is our legacy. So if you want to create a legacy, and you might like to evaluate, Aquarius, well, what do I want to be known for when I'm gone? What do I want to be remembered for by those that come after me? When you know what that is, then take action to create that legacy this week. This is also the wealth of the father in Vedic astrology, or rather ancient astrology, because it's the second house from the 9th house, which is the life of the father is the 9th house, and the wealth of the father is the 10th house. So there could be potentially in the shadow side, there could be some arguments about some sort of legacy or wealth from the father or the paternal line this week, that comes up for you guys. There could be arguments, there could be some frustration, there could be some aggression on that topic. But it's also possible that you might have a sense of enthusiasm or excitement, Mars energy as well, about the legacy of the father that is being left to you, or the wealth of the father that is being left to you. So that could come up in some way for Aquarius people as well. All right, Pisces rising, sun or moon, my beautiful brothers and sisters in Pisces land. We are seeing that Mars is moving through powerfully in its own sign, ninth house lord in the ninth house, luckiest house in the horoscope. That's a blessing for Pisces people at the moment, and it's being empowered by a square from our ruling planet, Jupiter. So this could be very auspicious for Pisces people. We've got the activation of the luckiest house in the horoscope by our ninth house lord. And for Pisces people, just so you know, Mars is our indicator of wealth, because, and I'll tell you why, it rules the luckiest house here, the ninth house, and it also rules the house of money, second house. So Mars in Vedic astrology is our indicator of wealth if we are Pisces people, and it's getting this, it's in its lucky house of rulership, and it's getting activated from the great benefic, who is our first house lord. So good stuff for Pisces people this week, I'm very pleased to say. This is an energy, the ninth house is where this energy is directed, and this is the house of communication with the gods. So if you're worried about something, you know, if you are concerned about something that's going on in the world, if you have compassion, 12th house, Jupiter, compassion for the plight of your fellow man, pray. Pray, pray, pray. 12th house, 9th house. Pray, and your prayers will be heard. That is the action. Mars is action. That's the action that we need to take as Pisces people this week. To pray, to, you know, operate in the spiritual realm, maybe protect ourselves spiritually through, if you're into rituals and ceremony, you can do that to create right energy space so that you are in a high vibrational state and your prayers are effective. And that is our power this week. Communicate with the gods. This is also the house of how we can obtain knowledge and the light of understanding. We need to take action to that end. You know, watch that documentary, buy that book on philosophy or whatever. You know, seek wisdom, seek understanding by taking action and getting excited about it, getting involved. Mars is to do. It's the doer energy. It's not sort of, oh, just wait for it to come into my life. It says, let's take action. Let's go. So buy that book, join that course in, you know, sign up to Kesenya's wait list for her Royal Stars Academy so that we can obtain knowledge and the light of understanding, ninth house things. The ninth house is also our purpose and our mission. It's what gives our life meaning. And with Mars moving through here, our passion is what's going to give our life meaning. What have we been passionate about for, say, like the last 12 years of our life, people? You know, what have you been passionate all your life long? Where is your heart for whatever it might be? Then with Mars here, it says your passion, what gives your life purpose and meaning, you got to get active about it. You got to take steps toward it now. And okay, just watch out for overdoing it. Jupiter can exacerbate things. But basically, your purpose, your mission, your meaning in life, you've got to activate that right now. You've got to be proactive about it. Get on it, guys. Now, our belief systems, finding our truth, finding our freedom, finding our liberation is a very ninth house thing as well. And so your belief systems might be, with Mars sitting here right now, belief systems for Pisces people might be very much about, I must fight. I must fight. I must be a hero. I must be Xena, warrior, princess, in order to make something happen in my life. That might be where your beliefs are. It's a very proactive belief system when we've got Mars moving through our ninth house of beliefs. If you want to find your truth, get active about it. Maybe fight for truth, fight for freedom, fight for liberation, because these are ninth house things, and Mars being here is calling you to that end. You can also expand your understanding this week through actively seeking adventure. Now, that might be adventure by going rock climbing or something very sporty or active, which is very Mars. Ninth house is having adventures that grow our awareness. So it can be very physical. Mars is physical adventures. But it could be also, if you're not able to do that, it could be adventures of the mind, adventures of the soul that you need to undertake. With Mars moving here, get proactive about that. This is the house also, if you think about the fact that the ninth house has connections to Sagittarius with the archer pointing his arrow to the future. That's ninth house energy. It's future visions and goals. This is also the house before we hit the 10th house, the house of we've made it in the world. Here we're shining our light to the world. We're at the top of the tree. And so we've got to have a goal for how we're going to get there. Ninth house. And so what are your visions and goals for getting to where you want to go now, Pisces people? You know, everybody knows who watches my channel that one of my visions and goals, self-sufficient property. Now I've got to take action on that at the moment this week. And quite blessedly, the universe has given me an opportunity to do so. We need to actually take action. We need to sort of set the wheels in motion. Mars is action. Mars is to take those steps, make things happen towards your future visions and goals. If you don't know what your future vision and goal is to achieve what you want in the world, maybe take some time this week to think about that and evaluate that. This is a house of grandchildren. It's the 5th from the 5th. So it's a house of grandchildren, and it's also the house of perfected intelligence, perfected love as well, higher level love, divine love. And that's why, one of the reasons why this is the house of the second life partner, where we move to theoretically, in our second life partner, we should have learnt lessons from the first and move to this higher level of love. So there might be some passionate exchange with your grandchildren, or with a potential second life partner, or you might even sort of get passionate about some level of intelligence that is taking you to the next rung of the ladder of enlightenment, so to speak. Mars is passion, and it can interplay here with all those themes. It's a house of good karma as well. So, you know, you might find that there's a lot of action in your life this week, Pisces, that's actually a result of some good stuff you've done, either in this lifetime or previous lifetimes, you know. Things start to manifest now. Jupiter-Mars is a highly manifesting energy, even in a square. So there might be some good karma that's manifesting for you Pisces people now because of this combination of energies that's playing out. Some people might find that they are having to go to court. This is the ninth house is connected to the Supreme Court, the High Court. This is not sort of, you know, your VCAT or something like that, like low-level court system. It's the high-level court system. And quite interestingly, as a Pisces person, I just got notification in the mail yesterday that a class action I must have joined like 10 years ago. It's like so old, this class action, I'd forgotten about it. And it really wasn't that important. It was just like, oh yeah, I'll put my name on the list, and if something happens, it happens, whatever. I got notification this week of this class action that had gone to the High Court, the Supreme Court. So, you know, this Mars energy is bringing back maybe some good karma through this class action that was taken in the Supreme Court many years ago. Very interesting. So, you know, that's just an example of how this might work. You might have something going on with some sort of high-level court system. There can also be eureka moments, Pisces people, that occur with this energy as well, where you get sudden downloads and flashes of insight and understanding and aha moments, and it will come to you fast. Mars is a fast, quick energy. Jupiter, coming from the 12th house of the angels and the higher entities and the ancestors, you know, they're going to be planting this aha, eureka, this is what I need to do, this is the action I need to take moment in your consciousness now. So that's what I'm seeing for Pisces rising, sun or moon people. For Aries rising, sun or moon people, the energy of Jupiter-Mars square is being felt and effective in your 8th house this week, Aries. And this is the house of the mystical and the magical. You might find that this week you're getting very proactive with your involvement in some occult subjects. You know, maybe you're looking into mystical practices or esoteric practices or occult work. Mars here is going to make you feel like, yeah, let's do it, let's go, I want to know this, I want to get involved in this, and away you go. This is also a house of other people's resources, hidden money, taxes, big investments, big business. And Mars here could see some exacerbation of problems here if you're involved with something that has hidden money. Mars, even though it's in his rulership, Mars here can, in the shadow effect, can cause some fights, some disagreements, some arguments. And we know that money is one of the key things that causes a lot of arguments and disagreements in the world. So, don't be surprised if there's some sort of angsty sort of argy-bargy that comes up from this experience this week. This is also the house of fast changes, shocking events, dramatic reversals, and Mars is also a very quick energy. It may indicate that some big event is about to take place in your life and it will come as a shock and it will happen very quickly for Aries people. And Mars is your ruler, by the way, as well. It's the lord of your rising sign Aries, or your sun or your moon sign if that's what you're looking at. And here in the 8th house, it can indicate that your life is about to get out of a rut in some way, that your life is about to be transformed. 1st house lord moving through the 8th. You are about to be changed by this energy. Maybe that could look like a crisis situation. Maybe you're going through a divorce. Maybe your spouse is leaving. Maybe there's some sort of catastrophe, tragedy, crash, accident, breakdown, something like that. But what it's going to lead to as a result is such good stuff out the other side. You know, there's a renewal that comes with this energy, a rebirth, a renovation, a reactivation of who you are. And remember, Mars is your 1st house lord, so it very much represents the journey of the body. A big renewal is taking place this week. So don't be surprised if you feel like at some point the rug has been pulled out from under you in some realm of life. But know that there's going to be a big renewal and revival that's going to come out of that experience where you are reborn out the other side. Quite exciting. And quite frankly, I hate going through crisis. We all do. But I love what it brings me in terms of knowledge and empowerment. And for Aries people to have Mars, the planet of the warrior hero, moving through your 8th house of personal empowerment, this is an exciting period. You are the warrior energy, Aries people. So it could be very much beneficial for you out the other side. Now, this is also a house of sex, and Mars is a planet of sex, and Scorpio is a sign connected to sex. So sex is on the menu this week. And we're not talking about that, slow tantra kind of stuff. We're probably talking about just get it on, let's make it happen, away we go. So it could be quite fun in that sense for Aries people, and your libido can be very much amped up. Jupiter taking it to an extreme. Be careful you don't burn yourself out with this. I'm not trying to be funny. This is actually the case. Jupiter takes things to extremes, and Mars in the house of sex, ruling our sexual passion and desire, you could really go too far. So be very conscious of that, and maybe slow things down a little bit where needed. It's the house of what we receive from others as well. Moral support, finance, material goods, inheritances, wills, payouts, all those sorts of things are 8th house stuff. So Mars here being exacerbated by Jupiter, as I kind of alluded to a little earlier in this portion of the reading, there could be a lot of action taken about gaining moral support or gaining financial support from other people, etc. But there could also be some arguments in the shadow side about gaining moral support. Why aren't you helping me, mum and dad, when I need this, and da da da. And we feel like we're not getting moral support, and it causes us to become antagonistic. So be conscious that can be an energy that plays out for you this week as well. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell for Aries people, with Mars being activated very strongly in the 8th house. For Taurus people, the activation of Mars is occurring in the 7th house. This is Jupiter making a square aspect to Mars in its own sign, Scorpio, the ruler of your 7th house, Taurus. Well, this is the house that's opposite of you, actually, where Taurus is calm, ruled by receptive, gentle Venus. Here is Scorpio, the house of passion, ruled by let's go get 'em, warrior hero Mars. So they're quite opposite. So this is the house that is opposite to you, and it also represents, the 7th house is everything that's far away from you, everything that is not you. So there's you, and maybe there's your audience, there's your clients, there's your partner, there's your business associate. Other things are seen from the 7th house. And Mars here, getting an exacerbated energy hit from Jupiter square, could see that there might be some arguments with these people, arguments with others, arguments with your clients, arguments with your audience, frustrations with your partner, frustrations with your business associates. That there's that Mars shadow side energy playing out there. In the positive, it could look like you get enthusiastic about your connections with everything else in life, other people, clients, audience, etc. You get excited about it. You get enthusiastic about some interactions that you're having. That's the best case scenario with this energy. Also, keep in mind you don't want to take it too far and burn yourself out by giving to your clients, to your audience, to the public. It's taking things too far, and you're doing too much for other people this week. Be careful of that, Taurus. It could burn you out. So knowledge is power. If you know that, you can say, well, hey, I need to stop. I need to rest. I need to balance my energy, or else I'm just going to be depleted. Very important. This is also a house of equal relationships and partnerships. Balance, fairness, justice. So it's very important that you tap into the need to have balance, the need to have fairness and justice, and not be overgiving and not be taking things to too much of an extreme. This is a house of agreements, contracts, alliances, commitments, promises, and vows. Mars here is a very quick, fast energy, and when it's being activated by Jupiter, it makes us very impulsive and rash. So if you are looking to sign some sort of contract or agreement, I'd get another set of eyes involved, get maybe a legal mind on the job for you, because you might be like, yeah, whatever, sign. And then you're like, 2 weeks down the track, you're like, oh my God, what was I thinking? Why did I do that? So there is a need here to pare back on the rash, impulsive energy that might be coming from Jupiter square to Mars here if you are looking at dealing with contracts. How we perceive others and how we treat others and what we attract from others is also seen through this house. So for Taurus people, Mars in this house with an exacerbated energy from Jupiter might see you attracting a bit of aggression from other people, and you're feeling frustrated with other people. And as I said, this is the house of how we treat others, and that might be simply that we are getting treated that way because it's a reflection of the energy that we're giving out. I'm so sick of dealing with that client. Oh, why do I have to even, go there again? And, we're frustrated, and then our client gets frustrated back at us. So that energy, that exacerbated energy of Mars, frustration, anger, aggression, competition, comes reflected back to us, maybe because it's what we're putting out. What's the solution? Act with consciousness. Look at ourselves. Where am I giving out the wrong vibe, that I don't want to receive back? Maybe I need to sort of move more into an energy of love, an energy of compassion and kindness instead. Maybe a bit of self-evaluation is called for this week. This is the energy in the 7th house of trade and sales, negotiation and mediation. And Mars energy here can give you a lot of passion. When Mars is in the 7th house, it can make us a really good salesperson, actually. We have the ability to talk people into something, with our passion and our enthusiasm, bring people around to our perspective, and we make a sale. So this energy of Mars here is exacerbated by Jupiter, can be very good if you're working in trade or sales or retail or any kind of marketing kind of careers where you want to, get people on side, get people on board. Your enthusiasm and passion will probably be taken to an extreme, and that can actually work in your favor to achieve if you have a career in those realms. So I will also say this is how we act in business dealings, this house, and you don't want to act in any way aggressively this week. Mars can sort of probably lead you into feeling like I've got to be aggressive, I've got to be competitive, but that's not a positive aspect. Jupiter is exacerbating that sort of shadow side of Mars here, and if you're acting like that in business dealings, often you'll get that reflected back to you, as I just illustrated. Okay. Thank you, Taurus. For Gemini rising Sun or Moon people, the energy of Mars and Jupiter square is being felt in your 6th house. Now, Mars in the 6th house is actually a good placement for Mars. He's considered to do very well in the 6th house. He's that fighter energy in a house of problems, and we can have the energy we need to fix issues, to fix problems, to balance unbalanced situations when Mars is here. We get our Lucy Lawless, Xena warrior princess energy happening, and we can really make a change to situations of imbalance in the world. And Jupiter is going to actually enhance that, empower that, and maybe take it to an extreme. So watch out for burning yourself out, but there can be some positivity here, Gemini, for you to utilize. The 6th house is the house of the victim mentality, and because of this victim mentality that we can sometimes experience in life, is what can take us away from God. You know, when we're in, oh, poor me, and life sucks, and it's not fair, and blah, 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 we're not acting in trust and a co-creating relationship with the divine. So Mars here can sort of, how can Mars affect this? You might find it gives you the enthusiasm or the drive or the willpower now to say, see you later. Hit the road, victim mentality. I'm making some changes. I'm taking some action to get rid of this distance I've got from the divine. You know, I want to get back on track with the divine by giving the victim mentality the boot. So this energy can be very helpful for that. It can be helpful for overcoming adversity. We decide we're going to be a hero in our own lives. That can be very positive. It's an energy, the 6th house, of hard work. And Mars doesn't mind a bit of hard work. It can get passionate about hard work and get enthusiastic about hard work. And because of that, it can accomplish a great deal. So in that sense, you might actually find that you achieve a lot this week if you are a Gemini rising, Sun or Moon person. This is the house of where we struggle and why we struggle. So you need to know your natal chart to know why you might struggle with whatever planets are in the 6th house. But Mars here is giving you the energy of enthusiasm and drive and willpower, as I've already kind of suggested, to overcome the struggles of life, to leave the struggles of life behind. It's a karmic house, and it's our service that burns our karma. And service is seen from the 6th house, the karma that we need to burn through service. So the nature of Mars here is what you can now, under this transit, offer your service to. Maybe Mars is to use tools, use implements. Might be that you need to go and fix something as an act of service to a neighbor. They've got a dodgy step and you've got an air hammer, and you go and fix their step for them or something. Use your tools. Mars is tools. Use your implements. Use your enthusiasm to serve other people. Use your passion to serve other people. Use your creative ideas. Mars is creative initiative to serve other people now. Mars is even cutting things. If you want to chop up and make a stir fry and gift it to the single mum down the street who's really struggling at the moment, there is an act of service that's utilizing a Mars energy to cut, and stir fries are a very Mars governed thing. So you can burn karma by using your Mars energy this week. This is a house of healing through practical means as well. Practical means as well as a house of service, as a burning of karma. So you can heal through maybe, sometimes we might need to cut something out of our life. Mars is to cut, as I've just said. We might need to cut something, maybe, hopefully not literally, but figuratively, we might need to cut something out of our life, and that will heal us. Maybe it's a toxic person. Maybe we need to cut out a toxic diet, or cut out an exercise routine that was burning us out or something. We need to cut it out of our lives so that we can heal. Mars is to cut, and so there is a good energy here of support to help you do that this week. Mars is also exercise, and for those of us who are not enthusiastic about exercising, this could be an energy where you do get the enthusiasm to make a fresh start with a new exercise routine of some sort this week. I would also suggest for Gemini people, avoid any hot spicy foods this week, because I feel that it's going to play havoc with your digestive system, because this is the house of digestion. Mars moving through here can give you sort of the stomach acid and reflux and burning sensation here, especially as it's being exacerbated by the Jupiter energy. Now, if you do experience this, it's been noted that forgiveness is a great way to heal digestive issues. When our digestion is mucked up, okay, yeah, we need to get practical healing. That's part of it. But also we need to think about, okay, well, who haven't I forgiven? And look at, maybe it's yourself you haven't forgiven, or your kids, or your parents, or a neighbor, or someone that you haven't forgiven, and work through those issues of forgiveness. That can actually help heal digestive upsets too. So Mars is not a planet of forgiveness, but he might energize you to take a look at those sorts of things. This is also an energy potentially where we might need to do a bit of purging and cleansing as a practical healing method to clean out the digestion too. But the main point I want to make is avoid those hot, spicy kinds of foods this week that could upset things. This is a house of conflict, creating conflict, managing conflict, and fixing conflict. Be very, very careful, Gemini people, because with an exacerbated energy from Jupiter to Mars in your 6th house of conflict, this could be a week where you get aggressive or angry with someone who you perceive to be your enemy in the world. And there's maybe butting heads, angry words, violent clashes between you and somebody who you consider to be an enemy. Instead, maybe look at how I can manage this conflict that's present in my life, or fix this conflict, because Mars does like to fix things. All right, Cancer rising, Sun or Moon people, the energy of this Mars-Jupiter aspect is playing out for you, or being felt for you, in the lucky 5th house. The 5th house is a house of joy and exhilaration, excitement and happiness. It's the fire of God is the 5th house. And here is Mars, this fiery planet of passion in its own sign, ruling the 5th house for Cancer rising people. So don't be surprised, Cancer rising, Sun or Moon people, if you get really passionate about something, really excited about something, and very joyful about something this week, where the fire is in your belly about a hobby or an interest or a new love in your life, or you're excited about something, to do with children, or the 5th house is all those things. And Mars here in its rulership, exacerbated by the expansion of Jupiter, can see you get very passionate, very excited about something in your life. This is an energy, 5th house, of playing games, having fun, parties, dressing up for a good time. And Mars, again, passionate, enthusiastic, excited about doing those things, playing, having fun, and of course Mars being the energy to do with sex in astrology. And this is also a house connected to sex for fun, 5th house, might see you be, really enjoying dressing up and having a good time in the bedroom, perhaps. And there's a passion there, there's an enthusiasm there, there's a joy and delight there with getting it on with your lover. Yay! And Jupiter exacerbating, making that energy very profound in you. It's also, Mars can give a lot of confidence to this area of life as well, and a lot of glamour. So in the bedroom, you might find that there's an opportunity to get a bit glamorous and to get a bit confident this week with your sexual prowess. Fantastic. Why not? This is the house of our talents and our true innate intelligence. It's what we don't have to work hard at to be good and successful at. So Mars here can give you new ideas, creative insights, new enthusiasm for something you're very talented at, something that you're very creative with. So, if you find you're getting some inspiration, it's an inspiration house. If you find you're getting some fabulous inspiration, don't ignore it. Don't sweep it under the carpet. Use this Mars energy to initiate maybe a new project, maybe a new hobby, maybe some kind of a new use of your intelligence. This is a house very connected to writing. Some Cancer people may get inspired to write the great novel of our era under this energy. So Mars is inspiration and giving enthusiasm to do these sorts of things. Our ego validation is seen from the 5th house as well. What do we need to do in life to get ego validation is seen from what's going on in the 5th house. And to get ego validation, if that's something that we need, and this ego is not a dirty word in the words of a famous Australian song. It's not a dirty word. It's when ego goes too far that it becomes a dirty word. But we all have an ego, and we all need to get some validation of that ego from time to time. And so Mars here might be telling you this week, Cancer, that you need to take action to get ego validation. You need to be enthusiastic to get ego validation this week. Maybe you need to honor your passions to get ego validation this week. And you need to be proactive about these things. Now, this is also a house. 5th house is a house of gambling and taking risks. Mars is a risk-taking planet with a square coming from Jupiter in the 8th house of windfalls. I don't want to give anybody financial advice because that's not my area of expertise, but it mightn't be a bad idea for Cancer people this week to maybe look at taking a risk that has the potential to bring some gains. Now, I'm not saying put your whole life savings on the horses or anything like that, but why not put a $10 lottery ticket here or there and see what comes of it. It could actually pay off in your favor with this risk-taking planet, ruler of the 5th house, in the 5th, aspected by the luckiest planet, the most benefic planet, Jupiter, in the house of windfalls. Seems like a fairly interesting combination to me, and certainly worth the experiment, as long as you're not, going to the poorhouse because you're doing this. Keep it moderated. Jupiter can take things to extremes. I would encourage you, keep it moderated and see what happens. Okay. This is our eldest child is seen through the 5th house, and Jupiter exacerbating Mars here might see us sort of knock heads or butt heads a bit with our eldest child over something or another. There could be some arguments, there could be some competitiveness or aggressiveness that's there. Remember, our ability to love is what can sort of hold those things at bay. And so, focus on the love rather than the disagreement, perhaps. And finally, the 4th house is the sports that we enjoy. Mars here is a very sporting planet. It is active, it is physical. So this could be a week, Cancer people, where you get really physically active and you find a sport that you enjoy, or you get involved in the sport you love, and you just watch out. As I said in the intro, Jupiter making this aspect can take this physical expression to an extreme that burns you out. So that's the one thing to be very conscious of here. Yep, go play that sport you love, but just don't overdo it so that you end up so burnt out you can't get off the couch the next day. Word to the wise there. All right, Leo rising, sun or moon people. The energy of Mars-Jupiter square is going to be felt for you in the 4th house. This is the house of our life foundation, our emotional core strength. And Mars here, activated by Jupiter, in its rulership in the 4th house for Leo people, might be calling you to sort of pay attention to your passions now. And what are you passionate about, Leo? What do you desire from your life? What do you get excited about? What do you get enthusiastic about? This, whatever that happens to be for you, you want to pay attention to, because it's likely to be a part of your core foundation that you need to not only pay attention to, but take action about. Let's say, I'm a Leo sun. Maybe you get really passionate about self-sufficiency. That's something I am passionate about, and I know for me that's a core foundation of who I am and who I want to be in life. Well, Mars moving through my 4th house might really stir up that passion for that core foundation of who I am, somebody who wants to be self-sufficient. And so I start to take action now around achieving that more, or building that more in my life. Maybe I add a new veggie patch in my backyard, or plant a few more fruit trees or something like that. And I really take action around this core foundation of, part of who I am at a deep core level. That's just an illustration, so I hope that makes sense. When we have difficult planets, though, moving through our fourth house, even if they're in their own sign, it can give us anxiety. It can be a cause in some cases of depression or sadness. And Mars is a malefic planet in the Vedic system. So Leo people, there might be a bit of anxiety because of Mars and his recent journey through your fourth house, even in his own rulership. There might even be, you might be feeling a bit sad about maybe the way the world's going or certain things that are happening in your life. Mars is not an energy of sadness, but his moving through the fourth house as a malefic planet can be causing this sadness, anxiety, and feeling of general lowness. Okay, so knowing this, I hope, empowers you to realize that it is an energy that will pass when Mars moves on and gets out of the fourth house. Now, our safety and our security, our stability, our belonging is also seen from the fourth house. And with Mars here, you're going to want to get active about developing some more safety and security and stability in your life. You'll want to take action, not sit back waiting for things to happen and expecting the universe to take care of it all. You're going to be a go-getter, a doer, to create more security and stability in your world. And that's a good thing. That's using this energy to the best of your advantage, really. Now, domestic life, land, property, homes, gardens, farming, fishing, all of these things are seen from the fourth house as well. And Mars is real estate agents. So it's entirely possible that under this energy, in the house of the horoscope to do with land, property, and home, you might be approached by a real estate agent, or you might approach a real estate agent this week. Maybe you want a valuation, maybe you want to know what the market's doing, and there might be an interaction this week with a real estate agent that might prove to be very positive, that might give a bit of opportunity to your life, and might even perhaps potentially send you in a new direction, Leo. You might get really active with the tools, Mars rules tools, in the garden. Do a bit of backyard farming or something like that. You might also get very active and energized in your domestic life. Mars is not an energy of cleaning, but it is an energy of doing. And so we're in the fourth house of, the domestic environment. Maybe you're out there in the garden pruning, or maybe you've got the mop and bucket out and you're giving the floor a wash or something like that. You get busy with the tools in your home and in your domestic life in some way. This is the house of the lowest level of things. Basements, foundations, bunkers, anything underground. And of course, Mars does have connections to mining in that it rules the tools we use to sort of extract things, the machinery that we extract things from underground. So if you've got any investments in any mining companies, or you're involved in sort of pulling things out of the ground in some way, I have a lot of friends who love to go up to Lightning Ridge opal mining. And if you've got that sort of inclination and it's part of your life in some way, then that's going to somehow get amplified for you this week in your experience, if that's part of your life as it is. If you're not an opal miner by nature anyway, it's probably not going to notice that, but it is one of the potential manifestations of this energy combination. The fourth house can also represent the businesses that we conduct from home or inherited family businesses. Be careful with Mars here being exacerbated by Jupiter, that there might be some argy-bargy or frustration or angst happening in an inherited family business or a business from home. And the same can be said for parenting. An exacerbation of Mars in the shadow side can cause frustration, irritation, anger, aggression. And now that might be with our parents or in our role as parents. We're angry, we're frustrated, we're irritated or something, or with our business or whatever I've just illustrated might be the case. So conscious awareness of that and pulling yourself up when you start to go down that rabbit hole is the best way to deal with this. Am I being too aggressive here? Am I being too angry with my children now? Do I need to tone it back? And maybe you will. So, if you're parenting and you're finding that you're yelling a bit more than usual, there's that Mars-Jupiter square. Okay, right. What I'm going to do is we're going to get active as a family now. Let's go for a jog together, or let's go for a swim at the lake together and cool off this anger. There are strategies to dealing with this that can really help. All right, moving to Virgo. Virgo rising, sun or moon people, the energy of Mars, Jupiter square, whoops, a bit off kilter there, is falling for you in the 3rd house. So this is a house of movement and restlessness. It's a house of short localized trips, and with Mars, a highly active energy, being exacerbated by Jupiter in your 3rd house, you're going to be really restless this week. There is going to be a level of I just can't sit still, I need to go for a walk, or got to clean this, got to do this, got to empty out this cupboard, I want to, maybe I've got to write something, or I just can't sit and be. And that's okay. This is a passing energy, and if that's how you feel, just utilize it right now. But the one thing, as I said in the intro, to be careful of is overdoing it. Taking things to an extreme where you just can't sit still and it's 2 a.m. and you're scrubbing the floor by hand, or you're out there on a midnight walk because you just can't switch off. So it might be a good idea to have some strategies, Virgo, to help you cope with that, because of course if you're in that state and it lasts more than a few days, you can really end up burning yourself out or even going into a state of anxiety. So forewarned, forearmed there. 3rd house is what we think about. And of course, our character often is represented by what we think about. How we are expressing ourselves is represented by what we think about. And you might be actually this week, Virgo, thinking angry thoughts, frustrated thoughts of I'm irritated with this, I'm so frustrated by this, I'm so angry about this. What we think about might have a very Mars tone to it. So if that is bringing you down, and it's coming through in your character, maybe you need to really focus on redirecting your thoughts this week to something better. Maybe, look, if this was me and I was experiencing this, I would go and put on a Marvel film. I rather like the Marvel films, maybe go and watch, I don't know, the Avengers or something like that, and direct your thinking into something more heroic, which is also a Mars energy, and start thinking, okay, well, how can I be more heroic in my life? How can I overcome? How can I fix things? How can I be a hero? Maybe direct your thinking to those really positive Mars qualities instead of the anger, the frustration, the aggression. This is also the house of the relatives, neighbors, siblings, our workshop groups that we're involved in, the people who we don't choose to have in our lives. We don't get to choose our siblings, we don't get to choose our relatives, don't get to choose our neighbors a lot of the time. So that's the people represented by the 3rd house. And there could be some aggression, some frustration that is playing out with those people due to the exacerbation of Mars this week in this area of the chart for you guys as well. It's also a house of friendships, but friendships where we have a friendship with someone and it feels like a sibling friendship, like, I'm as close to this person as if she was my sister, So again, there could be some tension and aggression from Mars in a friendship of that nature as well. Forewarned, forearmed. Tests and exams are seen by the 3rd house, and I know in Australia a lot of our year 11 and 12 students are coming up to that period, and our year 10 students also, and uni students too. I just keep adding and adding, don't I? And Mars might give you the enthusiasm to study hard now for those tests and exams, so that could be a beneficial thing. But again, I want to point out, Jupiter can overdo things. You're up till 4 a.m. studying for your physics exam. At 9 o'clock the next morning, you get to your physics exam, you fall asleep at the table because too tired, So don't overdo it with the studying for tests and exams. Try and keep a balance here, but you've got a lot of enthusiasm and vigor now and energy that you can give to doing those things. Same goes for crafts and craftspeople. There's a lot of enthusiasm and energy and even technical ability that you can now channel into your work under this energy. Okay, this is a house of messages that we receive and messages that we give. So writing, speaking, social media, anything that gives a message. Mars here might see in the shadow side messages coming into our lives or messages that we are giving to other people that are fighty. I love horrible histories, and there's the character, I'm a shouty man, or you might know of that character. My kids and I would sometimes reinterpret that and say, I'm a fighty man, if we're feeling aggressive. And so you might be feeling like a fighty man and sending messages by email, social media that are really, really aggressive. Please don't leave comments on my YouTube videos of that nature or I'll delete you. But that can be an energy that's trying to flow through us. Do we want to be that person? Do we want to give that energy out there? Probably not. So try and find a different way to channel that. Perhaps put your anger and aggression, if you're feeling that, into a journal instead, which is a far better utilization of this energy. Get it out of the system, get it to flow through you into something that's not going to harm. Okay? Now, this is also very interestingly, the third house is a house in Vedic system connected to bravery. But it's bravery that comes from our mental narrative. Like if we tell ourselves, I can do this, I can win this, I'm powerful. If we have a mental narrative like that, it can give us a lot of bravery. So the third house is connected to bravery based on our mental narrative. And with Mars here, this is the positive expression of this energy, Virgo. You can channel this week because it's going to be empowered in you. Tune your mental narrative, Virgo, into I am a winner, I am victorious, I'm a hero in this situation. I can seize the day, up and away, Channel that mental narrative and it will give you this week the bravery to take action that you might not have otherwise had. So maybe that might mean putting some mantras on the mirror in the morning that you read every day this week. I'm a hero, I'm a warrior, I can win this situation, whatever the case may be. Use your Mars empowerment in your mental narrative that can take you to a whole new level in terms of your courage and bravery in the world. Okay, Libra, thank you for hanging in there till last. Beautiful Libra rising sun and moon friends. The energy of Mars making a square aspect with Jupiter this week is going to be effective in your second house. So the second house is what we need to live, the material things that our body needs, our food, our shelter, our clothing, and the material goods of life. Mars here is going, especially exacerbated by Jupiter, is going to give you a lot of energy to achieving and gathering those things, to accumulating those things, more food, more shelter, more clothing. You're going to go out and get it. You're going to make it happen, It could look like, you want to go grow your own food. This is a house of our stability and security. So you get out there in the garden and you make a veggie patch, with your shovel. Shovels are ruled by Mars. Or you use your pick, or your hoe, or whatever. You use those tools, Mars, to create some sort of food resource for yourself, or maybe you're creating some shelter, or maybe you're using a sewing machine. Machines are ruled by Mars, to create some clothing. There is this connection to the material things we need to live and be in the body, and Mars taking action and putting practical application to those things this week, Libra. So you might find that you're inspired to do those sorts of things. The second house is anything that we consider to be valuable. This week you might find, out of the blue, you have an interest in, old guns or old swords, maybe candles. Fire is ruled by Mars. Things that are Mars governed might suddenly hold a greater value for you than they have before. And it could be anything. I've given you a couple of illustrations. Maybe it's a hedge trimmer, machinery that you use that's practical, might suddenly have a greater value in your life. You might even go out and purchase those sorts of things this week. You might, need to get a leaf blower or some sort of machine or a lawnmower or something like that, and you have to go buy it this week because Mars rules machines in the house of what our material possessions. So you might need to go and purchase those sorts of things. The second house is what we spend our money on as well. So you might be spending money on Mars things, and that could be the illustrations I've just given. It could be you go and spend your money on some hot, spicy foods. This is the house of food. Mars here says hot and spicy. So, you go buy some really spicy Indian curry or something like that through Uber Eats, and that sort of thing might be where this energy is directed. But I want to warn you, don't take it too far. Jupiter can exacerbate everything, and you might think, yeah, I can handle that super hot Colombian dish, or that, that ultra hot spicy curry from India or Sri Lanka. I'll order that. And you get it and you're like, eyes are watering, face and body is sweating, and you're like, why did I order this? You take it too far. You think you're invincible. Jupiter Mars can be like, I am a superhero, I'm a warrior who can't be stopped, and we regret our actions, maybe with food, under that kind of energy. The second house also has to do with our self-value and our self-worth and what we do to value ourselves. So Mars is a planet connected to exercise and using physical exertion. So, you might feel really good about yourself this week if you go for a jog, or if you do some weights or weightlifting, or some martial arts, which are Mars-ruled kinds of exercises. It could really increase how you feel about yourself and the worthiness that you perceive yourself to have by getting involved with Mars things this week. Mars is also accidents, I have to say, and Jupiter is exacerbating this Mars this week. Even though Mars is in his own rulership, there's still that potential. So be very careful of your teeth, your face, your hair, your voice. For example, if you're playing rugby this week, do wear a tooth guard, because you want to protect your teeth from potential accidents under this energy. Same goes for your face. If you're a gridiron player and you need to wear one of those funny helmets that they wear, I don't watch a lot of gridiron, obviously, that's going to be a good idea to do, because you'll protect your face during this week as well. Hair, might need to protect your hair. Like, I know that most Western countries have a lot of rules and regulations about having your hair out if you work in a factory or around any types of machinery or something. Take double precautions this week regarding that. Also your voice. You might want to do something to protect your voice. Drink plenty of pineapple juice this week to sort of, give your voice, pineapple juice is very good for singers and so forth. So protect your voice and enhance your voice through those sorts of things. Don't drink a ton of milk if you're a singer or you use your voice in any way, because that causes a lot of phlegm. So you might want to, because Mars is associated with accidents in the house of the face, teeth, hair, voice, you might want to take some actions to prevent anything going wrong in that regard. The second house has to do with makeup, actually. So you might not usually be inclined to wear makeup much, or if you do, it might be a sort of a subtle natural look or something. But when Mars moves through your second house, all of a sudden you want your war paint on. Give me that red lipstick. So you might notice that there's a change in your makeup style that you implement, or you get a bit fiery about it, Libra, with your makeup this week. Also perfumes. If you're going shopping for perfumes this week, instead of, you might usually like florals or citrusy smells or something, and this week with Mars in your being exacerbated by Jupiter in your second house, you might be drawn more to the spicy perfumes, the sort of oriental smells, that kind of thing, or red clothing. Sexy clothing, you might be drawn more to purchasing this week. The deep plunging neckline or a fire engine red sexy dress or something like that might be very appealing with Mars moving through this house. So it's nothing to be concerned about having Mars here. It can be a lot of fun, obviously. Money and savings, I'll just conclude with this, Libra. Money and savings are seen from the second house, and your attitude to money is often seen by whatever planet happens to be doing a song and dance there. Now, with Mars here, you might have a very risky attitude to money, like, I'll throw caution to the wind. I'm going to be reckless. I'm going to be impulsive, especially when exacerbated by Jupiter. So be conscious of that. Don't sort of jump online and have a big spend up and then look at your bank account and go, oh my God, you need to sort of rein in the recklessness and be very aware that could manifest this week, and you might not be too happy with the result or the outcome. Forewarned, forearmed. Be very conscious of your attitude to money when Mars is being exacerbated by Jupiter in the second house. But in the positive, you might be able to take a risk this week and it might pay off for you. I wouldn't, as I've said with other financial illustrations in this reading, I wouldn't go, putting your life savings into one particular investment or one particular opportunity. I much prefer to act with caution. But Mars might see you take a risk that you might not usually do. Maybe you've never bought Bitcoin before and you think, you know what, it wouldn't hurt. Maybe I'll just buy, a little bit. And so you take a bit of a risk because it's something that you wouldn't ordinarily do. It's worth having a look at that sort of thing this week. Mars getting an empowerment from Jupiter could be quite helpful in that regard. Just don't go to an extreme with it that you regret. Act with caution and be very conservative would be my advice there. So thank you one and all for journeying with me around the horoscope for Mars square to Jupiter and what it might bring us all. As usual, let's close with a prayer. Energy of love, we just invite you to wrap your arms around the earth right now, because we really could use more love and we really could use a raise in vibration. Please open our eyes to see how we can bring more love to the world, to see how we can live lives that are in more attunement with what our higher selves really want. Help us to make wise choices and let love flow through us in our words, our actions, and all that we undertake this week. May it be motivated by love above all else. And so it is. Thanks for joining me, everybody. I have another Astro Weather Report for you next week.